department that is funding most of this project comes from the Rural Utilities Service within the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And the Rural Utilities Service will, in this coming year, have $2.5 billion to expend in communities like Ewing for broadband access. And so hundreds of projects very similar to the project that we're formally lighting here today, a fiber to the home project in Ewing, will now become available in communities elsewhere across our region in Southwest Virginia and across rural America generally. And in our office, we intend to be very active in working with communities to help them apply for the stimulus funds for broadband deployment. I can predict today that dozens of additional projects, like the one that we're celebrating here in Ewing this morning, will be arriving in other Southwest Virginia communities as a consequence of the provision of those stimulus dollars. I want to say thank you this morning to a number of people who have worked very hard for the success that we're celebrating here today. Just joining us is Richard Jenkins, who I saw just walk in and have a seat. He is the regional representative for the Department of Agriculture's Rural Utilities Service. And Richard and I have worked very closely together as we have brought broadband now to more than a dozen Southwest Virginia communities. And we're going to be working together very actively as the Rural Utilities Service structures its plans and develops its grant guidelines for the new communities that will receive funding from that $2.5 billion I mentioned that the Rural Utilities Service will be expending over the coming year. Richard has been a great friend of our office and a great friend of Southwest Virginia's communities, and I want to welcome him here today and thank him very much for the good work he's provided in helping to steer federal dollars for our projects locally. I want to mention the outstanding work of Skip Skinner and the Lennawisco Planning District Commission. Lennawisco took the lead a number of years ago in putting together a forward-looking plan in order to bring fiber optic backbones by most of the major communities throughout the entire region that Lennawisco serves in Lee and Scott and Wise counties. Lennawisco, for example, pioneered the idea of putting conduit for fiber optic backbones in the right-of-way every time a new water or wastewater system was built. And now we're taking that example and planning to place in federal legislation a requirement that any time a new road is built anywhere in the United States, that a conduit for the deployment of fiber optics be placed in that right-of-way at the time that the new road is built. That concept was pioneered by Skip and by Ron Flannery, who preceded him at Lennawisco, and has been carried forward very successfully. We would not be able to have this project here today had it not been for the broadband that lies along U.S. Route 58 that was put in place because of Skip and Ron Flannery's efforts. And so I want to say thank you to both of them today for that outstanding work. I want to thank the members of the Lee County Board of Supervisors who have been highly supportive of our broadband deployment projects here in Ewing, next door in Rose Hill, in St. Charles, in Blackwater, and will be our partners as we seek further broadband deployment across other portions of Lee County. Malcolm Purdue with Stone Mountain Health Services and Chester Montgomery, the chairman of the board of the Western Lee County Health Clinic, have been tremendous partners in our effort to deploy this Ewing project. Their building is the host site for the public access computers, the 10 desktop computers funded through the federal grant, and they have been of great assistance and provided forward-looking ideas for this project every step of the way. And I want to congratulate them and thank them for that work. And on my staff, my district director and my deputy chief of staff, Laura Lee, has been involved day to day with this Ewing project as it has moved forward, coordinating with Richard Jenkins, working for the development of our St. Charles project, which we will formally light this summer, and also working for the federal funding we announced last fall for the project in Blackwater. And Laura is back in the office today working on grant applications for about 70 communities across Southwest Virginia as we apply for funds from the new stimulus legislation for broadband deployment in other communities across our region. So she did great work for this project and is doing great work on a continuing basis, and I certainly want to acknowledge that. Well, it's a privilege for me to be with you here today, and I want to offer my congratulations to the residents of the Ewing community, the businesses that soon will receive this broadband service, the Western Lee Health Clinic here, Stone Mountain and its facilities, which have been of such benefit to this community, and now with broadband can serve this community in such a better way. I will be followed on this program directly by Richard Jenkins, about whom I've already had some kind things to say. He will be followed by Malcolm Perdue, the CEO of Stone Mountain Health Services, and then by Chester Montgomery, the chair of the Western Lee Health Clinic Board. So at this time, let's express our collective thanks to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, its Rural Utilities Service, and welcome to this podium, Richard Jenkins.
Camera shots with her still camera.
I'm gonna